Joe is with us in Orlando, Florida. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Huge fan. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
Better than I deserve. What's up in your world?
Yeah, I want to say thanks for that last couple for the great testimony and for being the toughest act to follow ever. My good news is that leading up into 2020, completed all the baby steps, was really rolling, have up to $75K in retirement funds as a 32-year-old. In 2020, I got married, and then we both got master's degrees. So my big downer is that we actually now have $85K in student loan debt. And when I talk to the very, successful people, they tell me, well, you should start paying that off, but also, no matter what, contribute to your 401K so you get the match. But I have a feeling you're going to tell me that I should completely stop contributing to that 401K to pay off the debt.
Why do you have that feeling?
Well, I've watched you a few times, but I haven't had to revisit the Dave Ramsey scriptures since 2020. So I'm calling to maybe get a kick in the butt and curious what you would say to those wealthy folks who took that strategy of still contributing to their 401K while paying off debt.
Yeah. I would say that they are not as wealthy as maybe they're projecting themselves to be, or that they're unusual. I'll answer that question first. When we studied the millionaires, 10,167 people who became millionaires, 90% of which became millionaires starting from nothing. They did not inherit money to make them millionaires, meaning they did this, they built wealth. The vast majority of them, there were some that followed the plan you're talking about, but the vast majority of them concentrated on getting rid of debt and then used the freed up income to build wealth with, because your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. Now, can the way you're working it, or you're talking about working it, work? Yes, it can. The reason that we've had more success than a lot of people in helping people build wealth is not because of the mathematics of this discussion, but because of the behavior aspects of this discussion. And what we found is, and it kind of runs against my math nerd brain, but what we found is the psychology of this whole thing is more important than the math is. You get the psychology right, the math ends up taking care of itself. Here's what I mean. Very few people can be consistent and intense on three things at once. That lack of focus, that lack of being dialed in on a singular goal causes people to not accomplish the goal. So it's very difficult to, I'll use something you said, get your master's degree while running 10 marathons in a year. Okay? They're both excellent goals. There's nothing wrong with both, but it requires a level of diligence and singularity of focus to complete Herculean tasks. And when you screw around with them, you end up not doing the marathons, or not doing the MBA, or worse, not doing both, because you try to do too many things at once and so much stuff on your plate. And Earl Nightingale, the father of motivational speaking, grandfather of motivational speaking, used to say that the difficulty of achieving the goal is not what keeps people from achieving the goal as often as the things that they try to do while they're trying to do the goal. And so all of that is my pitch for singularity of purpose, meaning, yeah, I'm stopping everything temporarily. What's your household income, by the way?
About $160,000 a year.
Okay, so you're going to be debt-free in under 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, if we really behaved ourselves, that would be the case.
That's I'm presupposing that with this whole discussion, because if you don't behave yourself, and the other people's plan doesn't work either.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, I was on a three-year plan, given some emergency fund expenses, but
yeah, you're spending. You're still going out to eat. You're still going on vacations. You're still screwing around.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, $160,000. You ought to be able to find 40 of it in a year. That's 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty wimpy.
Yeah. Well, and
Sure.
I think it feels hard because you've already worked through the baby steps and you got that pride and that excitement in 2020 of having everything paid off. And now it's kind of like a drag to have to go back and go, oh man, we got to do this again. And I love that you called in knowing what Dave's going to say. I mean, you already know that you got to go back through this. You know that it's going to be hard. You're familiar with the work and the effort. I think it's just really accepting deep down that this journey is, starting again, that you're back in baby step 2. And with that, I would encourage you to go back through FPU or maybe even coordinate a class, listening to the last Debt Free Scream, they really helped other people while they were helping themselves, and that produces motivation. So I think the biggest challenge right now is like digging deep in your soul to figure out, how are we going to get that oomph.
But don't go lead a class if you're going to keep doing this other plan, okay? That'd be
True.
hypocritical. We don't need coordinators half butt doing stuff, okay? So if you're going to half butt do it, don't do the class. That doesn't work. So
It's true.
Here's the thing, Joe. You're going to do what you're going to do. You're obviously not dumb people. You make almost a couple $100,000 a year. You both have graduate degrees. You're not dumb people. You just got to decide what the fastest right way with the highest probability of success in the shortest period of time is. Our plan has taught 10 million people and made more millionaires than all your little friends sipping their lattes talking together put together have. So you just got to decide who you're going to listen to. I'm not a college professor who never made payroll. I'm not operating on tenure here. This is real people doing real stuff. 10 freaking million people have gone through Financial Peace University. There are tens of thousands more millionaires all over America just because they did exactly what we said to do. Now, you can decide you don't want to do that, and that doesn't mean you're dumb. The other way will work, but the question is, what is the fastest, right way that has the highest probability of success, least probability of failure along the way? And it is getting rid of this debt in under 2 years, completely focusing, beans and rice, rice and beans. You fell off the wagon, you went $80,000 in debt, look in the mirror and go, stupid, I got to fix this. And that's the fastest right way to address it. Now, you can screw around with all these other people's plans, and you can watch TikTok and they've all got an opinion about money. But there's a reason they're on TikTok, okay? So think about it. You got to look at this. You got to figure it out. But here's the thing. If I hire a personal trainer, he walks in, he's got an 8-pack, and I got a keg. I got to decide if I'm going to do his plan or my plan. You just got to decide which one I'm going to go with here.
Yeah, and I love what you said about very few people can be consistent and intense on 3 things at once.
You can't.
That is really powerful. I think a lot of people are seeing all this get-rich-quick stuff out in the market now, and they think that they can do all these things, and they're the one that's going to figure out the strategy of how to invest in all these cool, fancy things, and they're going to pay off their debt at the same time, and then they wake up 5 years later, and it did not work.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's why this whole idea of life balance is so stupid. It just doesn't work. You don't have a quality life if every single day is parsed out, balanced across the 9 areas of your life. Your spiritual walk, your physical fitness, your marriage, your kids, your education, your intellect, your work life. When you spread all those things out and try to do them all in one day, nothing gets done.
It's true.
You're training for a marathon, your Bible study may end up sitting to the side a little bit. Mm-hmm. You're trying to read through the Bible in a year, you may not end up hitting the street every day and running 5 miles every day.
And it's not
something gonna trade off, baby, in order for you to win at the other thing. And over the scope of your life, you need to touch all these areas. But in a given day, a given week, or even a given season, no, you're not supposed to have life balance.
Well, and you'll get to those goals later. And you'll get to building wealth. You'll get to paying off your house. That's going to come in the baby steps. But be willing to make the sacrifices and do the hard now so that you can really win with those goals later.
Live like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but it yields a harvest of righteousness.